It is so good to be seen. I am very excited. Today is the first day, or I'm sorry, the first interview that we have for EP Mixer Orlando happening Wednesday, September 25th from 6 to 10 at Dave and Buster's in Orlando. And I hope you can be there. Today we have a first time sponsor and a good buddy of mine, gotten to know over the last few years, and very happy to have him and his company part of the EP Mixer in Orlando, and that is Bryan Flannery, founder, CEO, and head honcho of Foresight Security Consulting. Bryan, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, good to see you, Craig. Thanks for the chat. I'm looking forward to talking to you a little bit. I'm really looking forward to being a part of the EP Mixer.
That makes me insanely happy to hear that coming from our sponsor. And so we'll jump into it. You're a busy guy. I know we were the little bit of that we were talking beforehand of all the things that you got going on. So I'm excited to hear about that. But first, let's hear a little bit about Foresight. Let's talk about you. Whatever you want to share, go.
Love it. Yeah, thanks very much. So I think, as you know, Foresight's about 6 years old. And I founded it in 2018 after 18 years in law enforcement, specifically doing behavioral threat management. And the last 6 years of my time in LE was spent doing the executive protection for the Supreme Court of Oregon and the Chief Justice. It was a new job. I had never done it before. There were like those one-off little protection details where a judge would get a threat when I was with the county and we would go sit out in front of their house just to make sure the bad guy didn't show up. But when you're sitting there in a uniform in a patrol car, it's a pretty good deterrent. Weird, right? Yeah. So this was a little different, right? This was the plainclothes thing. I needed to learn this discipline. And so I was fortunate that our team had gone to the California Highway Patrol Protection of Public Officials course, also known as POPO, which is funny.
Awesome.
And it was, it's adult fantasy camp when you get to go to your EP school and drive fast and shoot con sims and, do advances and learn all of the things that go into a quality detail, whether it's a .gov protectee or a private protectee. And it was really, really fun. Did that for about 6 years and all my programs were running really well. But I'm a builder of things, man. I'm not a cruising altitude guy. And so after about 6 years, I was getting a little restless. And I am fortunate enough to have an amazing spouse in my wife who kind of encouraged me, like, look, you should think about doing this thing. Go out on your own and see what you can do. And so
Love hearing it.
yeah, man, 2 days after my 42nd birthday with 2 little kids and a house payment, I quit my guaranteed paycheck, turned in my take-home car and cashed out 18 years of estate retirement and went all in. I, jumped off the cliff and then had to figure out how to build a plane.
Right.
So
that's something to learn.
Yeah, well, my doctor says it's just stress, not heart attacks. So that's good. I got that going for me. But no, man, it's really fun. It's a challenge every day. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's very cool. And through the company and just all the professional networks, the amount of people I've been able to meet and surround myself with are spectacular.
Yeah, that's something that I think you don't think about when you do it, because I'm just going to go do this thing, right? And I'm gonna figure it out. But just the places that you get put in, heck, to go do work. It's like you meet. Yeah, I agree with you. You meet some really cool people. So
yeah.
With all that in mind, what do the next 12 months look like for you or for Foresight?
It's funny. We actually have a saying here. We call it Foresight time, where you've been here 6 months, feels like 3 years, right? Like we're growing exponentially. We're doing incredible work and diverse work. But honestly, the growth of what we're calling the rocket ship is really allowing us to bring on incredible talent. We are recruiting people from some of the biggest government agencies, some of the biggest corporations, where they're looking to find a different kind of internal culture, a place that they can call home, that their families are a part of. And that's what we're building. Having worked a lot of places for a lot of bad bosses, I knew exactly what I didn't want this place to be. So as we became a company, which to be fair was never my goal, I wanted to do what I loved. I wanted to do what I was passionate about, get a little freedom and make ends meet. It turns out That equation our clients loved, and they wanted more and they wanted more and they wanted more. And then we got more clients, and all of a sudden you got to have a team. So
Right.
being able to build that out has been really spectacular. And like I said, I think for us, the next 12 months looks like, again, um, more internal development of just some of the best people that we can find, and the people that are coming to us are spectacular. And I think even beyond the amazing work we get to do for our clients, even beyond the diverse stuff we get to see and the people we get to know and the conferences we get to go to, all that stuff's super fun. But our internal team is spectacular, and I'm just super excited about what that's going to look like and how those people are all going to develop.
Yeah, like you say that all the cool stuff, right? And or the fun stuff. It's the conferences. You get to do some traveling, go to
Right.
maybe someplace like that is like those are kind of I think the fringe benefits of it, to a point. But to be excited about the people, which is not typical of, in my experience, hasn't it's
No,
not
you're right.
typical
It's, we can
of
say
the
it.
people.
We can
Yeah,
say it.
yeah. So to be able to say that I'm excited to see the people that are one, how they're going to grow in the organization, which has to be good for you as a boss. If
Great.
they hear you say that and see you live that out, that's important. Um, and then also to see who's going to like who's coming on board next. Boy,
Right.
man, that's really cool, and I'm excited for you for that and for
Thanks.
them in the company. So, with that said, and considering, you've decided to sponsor the EP Mixer. What was the motivation for that? And how does that? I think I could probably answer this from what you just said, but how does it align with what your business goals are?
Well, so I'll tell you, when I started my career, I ended up on the preeminent student threat assessment team in the country. I spent 15 years doing student threat assessment and then adult threat assessment with these teams. In fact, I joke not, the people that actually wrote the book up there on student threat assessment are my mentors. And so, you've heard the old adage, the only reason I see above the clouds is because I stand on the shoulders of giants. And I don't take that lightly. And so, having been given that gift over the course of the last, 20 some years in this work, there's a real need for me to understand that the next generation of our security professionals, EP professionals, consultants, phys security, whatever, they're coming up and they're all looking for a place to go. They're looking for information. They might be confused. They need direction. And how selfish of us who were given the gift of those people to not give back. And so part of the EP Mixer is just living up to our Foresight internal core values and my personal core values. So really being a mentor and try to step into the industry to just create a better atmosphere for people to succeed is the legacy that I think we all probably in some version it's going to look different for everybody, but something that we all want to leave.
Yeah, well, that's funny. Years ago, I had a conversation with Chuck Randolph about legacy, and he held on to that. I think he still holds on to that word
Mhm.
pretty well of what are we leaving for next? And the idea behind EP Mixer was, it has always just been just to bring people together. If you get more people in one room having a conversation, like getting people face to face, it just that whatever walls are there behind a screen and a keyboard, you find that there's so many more like-minded people that like you said, they need like the people coming up, they need mentors, they need direction,
Yeah.
they need a home, they need somebody to show them, or at least to explain to them, here's how you do it. And people that have been in long enough are looking to give that. Like there's people are looking to like the leaders of an industry are like they know that they're that I don't want to call them in their twilight, right? But it's like there's people that are 20 years younger than them that
A
are
few
coming
of them
up.
will be very excited that you said that.
I
I
look
can
forward to
think of
having that
names, but I won't
conversation.
say them.
Right, right. And I won't either. But they're, the people that are coming, like it's just, or I'm sorry, the people that are there now, the leaders, they want to pass it on. You would be, or you wouldn't, but like they would be surprised. These people coming up would be surprised of the benevolence that comes from a number of people in the industry.
That's right.
And the mixer thing was just, I love bringing people together. I mean, I think about when I was in high school, I threw parties, and I brought, I invited all the cliques
Right.
from my school to come, and other schools. And it's like I just wanted to get people in the same place at the same time. And I think
That's
you
right.
can have some great conversations like that and opportunities that present themselves. And so yeah, I couldn't, I don't think I could agree with you more.
Well, and Craig, to be selfish, I mean, look, we get out of this too, right? Like there's no altruism here. There are the leaders in the industry that you get to spend time with. You get to stand next to, you get to overhear a conversation. And that can be of the biggest value to who you become, individually and as a professional and whatever. So it really is a win-win-win-win all the way across the board. And what a great opportunity to spend time together. And some adult libations usually help people shed a little bit of that ego that they show up with, a little bit of that pride that they
Mm-hmm.
need to be on the same level. And I think when that happens, the magic happens, man. The
Yeah.
spark hits, and you can learn things and guide things, and it's pretty impressive. And so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and getting to hear this with that, you get to hear the story. When you're new coming in, and you get to hear the stories about how other people started. And like you said, you kind of they didn't fall into it, but it wasn't the direction you were going. But now you run this company that's a good sized company, and that was not my goal. Like I just wanted to do the work that I loved, and it's like, well, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what conversations you're going to have. You don't know who knows. You just don't know until you're there. And so I appreciate it, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, you talked about core values. Are there any key messages, brand values that you would like to communicate further, with this sponsorship that that you mentioned, or anything, something you didn't mention so far?
Yeah. Thanks for asking about that.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of our mission, vision, and values. And, our mission is to provide physical and psychological safety through holistic security solutions. So, one of the things that we talk about all the time is you can put all the cameras and access control and guards and guns and halls and walls. You can do all that, and people will be physically safe. But if you don't give them space to feel safe, if you don't give them a place to build their psychological safety, doesn't matter how physically safe they are, they will never feel it. And so, what we know, what I have figured out, I should say, and this is working with counselors as a school resource officer, this is working as a municipal court judge, bailiff, and a physical security guy, and then working with the smartest lawyers that I've been around, in my life, the Supreme Court, for example, is that the byproduct of that psychological safety, the byproduct of a quality security program, is better care for people. We are looking out not just internally, but externally for those people struggling that show up in a way that can create risk. And so if we can get in front of that, create a culture of community and that type of thing, then organizations can't help but be better. And so, our core values, 3 of the 5 that I love, better care for people is our number 1 core value. Strengthening community relationships is another one of ours. And then be a positive influence. Those 3 of our 5 core values, right? And what better way to do that in the industry? I mean, there's ways I can give you a million examples of how we show up for clients, how we show up for government agencies that we just work with because we're in the community, and how we show up internally. But in the industry, let's care for people. Let's take care of them and show them a path and help them get to where they need to go and make introductions and do the things we need to guide them towards success in their professional career, whatever that looks like for them. Strengthening community relationships. The EP industry is a community. And I don't know if you've noticed, but it needs some strengthening. It needs people to step in and say, hey, we're all trying to do this together. Let's figure out how best to do this and not scoff at whatever thing we think is beneath the level with which we do it. Because I think that's ridiculous. You never know where that person's going to show up and the thing they need to succeed, right? And then how better to do that than be a positive influence? So the EP Mixer and our sponsorship with the EP Mixer is directly in line with Foresight's core values and who we want to be individually, together, and in the industry.
Well, I love it. And I think this is probably why you and I get along so well. It's one thing to do a nice interview on camera, but these are very similar conversations that we have
Yeah.
when we jump on the phone
This is why we
or
could make
anything.
this 3 hours or 15 minutes, right? Like we could
Yeah.
do this forever.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think I think you answered this already. But I'm going to I'm not so much hold your feet to the fire, but what value do you hope to bring to attendees, through your sponsorship, or while you're there, or while your people are there, and what outcomes are you expecting from being a sponsor at EP Mix Orlando?
Yeah, that's another really good question. And yeah, there's some, smattering of answers in the stuff we've talked about, but I think specifically we engage on LinkedIn, we engage on, the Facebook Protective Security Group and this. There are so many people out there looking, searching, digging, trying to find what they want to be, where they're going to go, how they're going to show up. And so the first thing I want to bring is maybe just some guidance. And you know me really well, and some others do too. But those places can be very intimidating for agents and professionals trying to figure out. They see a name or a face on LinkedIn, and they see all the posts, and sometimes some bravado, and some of this stuff shows up, and I want to show up. You know, maybe a little softened by some adult beverages to allow some conversation, and a place where I can be of resource. And also, selfishly, those people that I look to are going to be there, which means I get to spend some time with them, and I get to pick their brains, and I get to reconnect with old friends, and make new colleagues. And just I think being involved and a part of the industry is good in general, regardless of how you show up. But then, like I said earlier, it's incumbent upon us to be a part of this and give back to those seeking.
Yeah. Well, and you, for whomever, whoever you might meet there, right? You strengthening your network is good, not only for you and for your business, but also for the industry and anybody that's going to then who's going to touch you at some point throughout your career. And I think, I spend a lot of time thinking about networking, obviously, but having a bigger picture of what networking can do, and being at a mixer, and getting the wheels turning of, if I did this time, what would happen if I would just went back home and I continued
Right.
on this path, and who's in that path, and who do I talk to, and on it, and what can not only what can they bring me, but what can I bring them? And that's, like you say, selfishly, but it's like, well, you doing better for you does better for a bunch of other people too, and anybody can say that, as well. So
I will say that I have been the recipient of amazing relationships because someone introduced me to somebody. I mean, currently, the people that I look to as deeply as I do are because someone introduced us at a conference. When I talk about my professional network, right? And I will tell you that I know it sounds soapboxy, I know it sounds lofty, but I'm hyper passionate about it. And it's not just about the industry, it's not just about this thing, but a dear friend of mine who I was introduced to at a conference, at the IPSB conference, in fact, a
yeah,
couple of years ago, um, has this great line. It's an old Greek proverb that is, a society grows great when old men plant trees in whose shade they will never sit.
yes,
And
I've heard, yeah,
that's
sit,
the magic. That's the
yeah,
game.
hmm,
What are we doing if we're not doing that kind of stuff?
yeah, that's all, yeah,
So I'm really
that's a
excited to
great,
be a part of
yeah,
this. I'm
yeah,
glad you asked us. Um, and I can't wait to just see who we get to meet and make new friends. And it's going to be awesome.
yeah. And so that was, I think, I had a question for you of, like, what's networking success story, but that, I'm going to say for you, that was it right there. Like,
100%.
what are we doing? What are we leaving? And we should, and if we're not, we should be. At a minimum, that's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
So anyway, Listen, thanks for being a sponsor. I know you got to run. I appreciate you taking the extended time. And I'm going to narc us out here because this was take two. We made it halfway through one, and then everybody's internet shut off. So I appreciate you hanging
Yeah.
in there. Thank you being for a sponsor. Thank you for being a sponsor, and I'm excited for what's coming. So
Yeah, it's funny when you narked us out just now. I was answering a question a second ago, and I was like, did I already say that or was that last time? So if I'm repetitive, that's why. Anyways, man, I can't wait to see you guys all in Orlando. And hopefully you come out and join us. And Craig, as always, great to talk to you, and I can't wait to shake your hand again.
you as well, man. Appreciate it, guys. So you've heard at least one person that's going to be there, and I expect a few hundred to be there as there were last year. Get here. It's going to be in Orlando on Wednesday, September 25th from 6 to 10 p.m. Of course, you'll see posts by then and more of them. And as we get closer, there'll be more. It's going to be at Dave and Buster's. I'm very excited. So that's all I got. Hit hit the link epmixer.com. Get yourself registered. It's free to attend, and we'll see you there. That's all I got. Hope you have a great one. We'll talk to you real soon.